Hello, wonderful attendees. A very warm welcome to all of you in lovely professional university Edu-Webinars. My name is Dalvinder Kaur and I'm your host for today's webinar. As I can see, people are still joining, so let's wait for a few more minutes that everyone can join. Till then, let me take you all on a virtual tour of our beautiful university. So here it is. Let's talk about the poll response. Thanks everyone for polling. Is this video, especially I will talk on the option C. Is this video real or AI? No, this video is absolutely real video. No AI is mounted making this video. So for the people who wants to see this video again, I'll share the link in the chat box later in 2-3 minutes. So as I can see, everyone has joined. So let's dive into today's topic, that is, are we living in a multipolar world? Understanding shifting global powers and alliances. Before we proceed further, allow me to introduce the experts of the day. Dr. Zahoor Ahmad Bani. He is an assistant professor in the Department of Political Science at Lovely Professional University. So I would like to introduce the admission nominee also in this webinar, Ms. Kiranjeet Kaur. Ms. Kiranjeet is a Deputy Officer, Division of Admission, Lovely Professional University. Before we proceed further in today's session, I would like to request everyone for any question you can write in the chat box or in the Q&A box, and same will be addressed from my side in the end of this webinar. Now I'm going to hand over this session to our expert, Dr. Zahoor, and it would be an absolute delight to listen from him. Over to you, Dr. Zahoor Ahmad Bani. And I'll be joining you all as attendee, as it's always great to learn something. Over to you, Dr. Zahoor.
Okay, thank you so much for giving such an introduction. I hope I am audible.
Yeah, you are perfectly okay. You can continue.
Okay, yeah, thank you so much. So if we look the title of this session, it is, are we living in a multipolar world? So this is not a unique question. Okay, these kind of questions we discuss in our classrooms as well as outside classrooms here at LPU. But why we are talking on this particular question today, that is, I mean, there is something special in it. So before I will share some of my thoughts on this particular title, so there are some questions that arise. So these are as mentioned below. First, why we have put this title? Okay, what is interesting in it, and why we are talking about multipolar world? What is unique in it? Is it first time in the history of human civilization that multipolar world exists? Okay? And then another question arises: what basically is multipolar world? What do we mean by multipolar world? So while trying to answer to these important questions, okay, so then what we have to do, we have to see the history of human civilization. But if I go to the history of the human civilization, it will take a lot of time. So I'm not going into the ancient or the medieval world. What I'm going to do, I'm going to look the modern and particularly 20 and 21st century. So this is the limitation. This is a broad limitation of my talk, basically. So if we look this multipolar world, or the multipolar world, if we are talking in today's world, so the world was multipolar, okay, before, in contemporary times as well. So let us see the history of the before World War First and before World War Second. So there is this consensus among, politicians, among academicians, policymakers, practitioners, and so on and so forth. So what they say, what they argue that, before World War Second or World War First, world was basically a multipolar one. Let me highlight some of the examples. Let us take an example of United Kingdom. It was a colonial empire, a major colonial empire. France, another colonial and European power, or we can say the colonial empire as well. Japan. So what we have seen what Japan has done before World War II. United States, and it was rising economic power at that time. Russia, a major great power, and we knew, and we witnessed it that Russia, today we call it a Russia, and earlier it was South Union, and they had basically, during Cold War, clashes, ideological clashes, economic clashes, whatsoever with one another. So at that time, there was no single global hegemon. In simple terms, if there was not a single global hegemon, then what was it? So therefore, it was basically a competition among these mentioned powers. Okay? And what they have shaped world affairs, world politics, world economy, and ultimately what we have also seen, we have seen World War First and World War Second. So after the end of the World War II, 1945, it gave rise to the Cold War. And I hope you all are aware about the Cold War. You people might have, studied this as well. So when Cold War two blocks, world was divided into two different blocks. Two major powers basically shaped the world. On the one side, we had the Western side led by the USA, and on the other side, we have the USSR, Eastern side led by the USSR, and they were basically in a rivalry that is known as the Cold War. So during that, it was basically an ideological war. Okay, it was basically an economic war as well. So from 1945 to 1990 or 1991, so world has witnessed it basically this Cold War, and there were two major powers on earth that I have already mentioned, and they were shaping the politics, other affairs as well in the world. And then what happened? What we have seen the disintegration of USSR, and with the disintegration, with the collapse of the USSR or the South Union, and it basically led to the emergence of the unipolar world. And what we see in this unipolar world, that is a different story. I will come on to that if I get some time. But let me mention some of the important things. I mean, sorry, not all important, but one important point that I would like to highlight. So I hope you might have heard Kenneth Walters, okay, who is the founding member of the neorealism in international politics, and he has written an important book, A Theory of International Politics, in 1979. So Kenneth Walters basically mentions this Cold War, this bipolar world. Okay, this was basically a bipolar world. This bipolar world has, I mean, it was a stable world. Okay, according to him, it was a stable world because power was in equilibrium. Okay, the distribution of power was in the hands of the two blocks, and he was saying it was a peaceful, it was stable. We haven't seen any third world war during this particular phase. But what we have seen other wars as well. USA's intervention in different parts of the world, Russia's intervention in other parts of the world as well. So, but we haven't seen the third world war like we have seen the World War First, World War Second. That is, I mean that is the genuine point that they highlight about this Cold War. And according to him, this when power was distributed, so it was in equilibrium. So both blocks they were aware of this. If we do something, so the opposing power may hit us back. So that is the one thing related to this Cold War. And when the disintegration of South Union, it basically led to the it basically led to the unipolar world. Unipolar world means now Russia or the South Union is not officially a predominant power on earth or a major power. There is only one major power, that is the USA. So interestingly, Francis Fukuyama, he has written a lot on it, and particularly he has written one piece, and after that he has the piece was turned into a book. So what he says that he has written a piece in the Foreign Affairs in which he says that end of the history. Okay, the title of the piece was the end of the history. What he means this the end of the history. What he says that this liberal democracy has defeated all other ideologies, all other ideas. It has defeated Nazism, fascism in 1945 with the end of the World War II. Now it has defeated communism because according to him, USSR, it is official ideology was communism. And what he says, with the death of the USSR, so it is basically the death of the communism. Though that is not the correct, basically correct thesis or correct assumption about the USSR or its ideology. So what he says that the history is ended now. And now we have only one ideology, that is the liberal democratic or liberal democracy on earth. And it is basically, it has championed it is the only real now. Okay, so but after some time, what we have seen the clash of civilization. Huntington has written a wonderful book, Clash of Civilization, and in that book he says, okay, the future war, it would not be the political or the military war, but it would be the or economic war, it would be the cultural war that we see in today's world. Okay, so this is a short introduction about this multipolar world. Then we entered multipolar world before World War II. World was a multipolar, and then we entered into the bipolar world when two powers. Okay, bipolar means when two powers they were predominantly major powers on earth. And then when one power basically collapsed, South Union collapsed in 1990, and then what we have seen the unipolar world. Now only American, some scholars, they have declared that American hegemony begins. Okay, so now that means from bipolar to unipolar world. So let me cite one important example, and then I will come to the other parts as well. When the Chinese cargo ship Istanbul Bridge, when it docked at the British port of Felixstowe on October 13, 2025. So this arrival might have appeared unremarkable into the world setting. Okay. Why? Because if we see that United Kingdom, it is basically China's third largest export market, and these boats, they travel between the two countries all year. So then, what was the remarkable about this cargo ship? Okay, about this bridge or about this route? It was first, basically, it was the first major Chinese cargo ship to travel directly to Europe via the Arctic Ocean. That was the remarkable point. And another interesting point is that why I am mentioning this, I will highlight it after some time. The trip basically took 20 days. Okay, weeks faster than the traditional routes through the Suez Canal or around the Cape of Good Hope. So in Beijing, they hailed the journey as a geostrategic breakthrough as well as a contribution to supply chain stability. Okay, that is fine. But yet more important and pertinent message that was unstated, the extent of Chinese economic and security ambitions in a new realm of global power. So that is why some scholars, they already declared that, okay, what we are going to witness now, we are going to witness a Chinese-led order. And when we are talking about the Chinese-led order, that means the American-led order is whether in decline, whether it is in ventilator, whether it is already dead, and so on. Okay, so on the one side, there are scholars who are saying, no, still we have the we have the hegemony of American hegemony. Okay, Western hegemony still we have. But on the other side, we have scholars who are saying, no, this hegemony has already declined. Okay, it is faltered away. And we have the another major power, that is China, which is overtaking in many respects. So according to them, the unipolar world is gone, and we, at least if we are not in a multipolar world, and we basically are in a bipolar world according to them. So because what they think, they think that this multilateral cooperation, okay, it is giving way to multipolar competition, because there are some scholars who are saying this multipolar, it is basically an illusion. Okay, it is basically a myth. That is not 100% correct. That is why I'm mentioning these important points in order to make you understand, trying to make you understand that, okay, if we are not in a unipolar world, if we are not in a multipolar world, if we are not in a bipolar world, then what kind of world we are living in? So opportunistic transactions, that is one feature of this new world. It seems to matter more than defining international rules. That's true. If we see, okay, if you see the bilateral relations, if we see the multilateral relation, whatever relation if you will see, you will simply see, okay, what realists say, okay, self-interest kind of thing. Okay, you make a relationship for what? For self-interest or national interest. So on the one side, now we have the opportunistic transactions. On the other side, we have the international norms and the rules. Okay, so and with this, what some scholars are suggesting, that we are already in a great power competition. It's true. I have simply highlighted above as well that we are already in a great power competition. So as the rivalry between China and United States, between China and the United States. So because I have mentioned it, on the other side, we have still some are claiming that we are in a Western dominant liberal order, but on the other side, that we are in a Chinese order. So this basically, this rivalry, this sets the frame of geopolitics. Okay, so we students of international politics, or we students of political science or social sciences, we must understand this framing of geopolitics in today's world as well. Okay, because that is important to mention. So emerging middle powers. Okay, on the now we have the third block, like we have in the Cold War. We have on the one side USA, on the other side we have the USSR, but then we have the non-aligned countries. Okay, neither with that block, neither with that block, because we are newly independent countries. We have to set the rules and we have to make the policies independent from these two blocks in order to survive in the world. Same in today's world. So we have some people call emerging middle powers. Among them, Brazil is there, India is there, Mexico is there, Nigeria is there, Saudi Arabia is there, South Africa is there, Turkey is there. So these are the emerging middle powers. And what is their role? They have become game changers, basically. Now, if the game is going on, so these countries, they are the game changers. So if we integrate all these countries, they have the economic means, okay, as well as geopolitical heft to tilt global order towards stability or greater turmoil. This is certain. Okay, either towards the order, or either towards the stability, either towards the peace, or towards the turmoil, or what we see in today's world. You can see the middle is west. Okay, or you can see Russia, Ukraine. You can see Trump's policies, okay, going to Venezuela and then doing something overnight. So all those, because are we living in a stable world, or are we living in a turmoil world, that you can easily understand if you try to make understand the world politics into this world. So amid this wreckage, okay, in between, it is shifting. Some scholars are calling that it is shifting from multilateralism to multipolarity. Okay, now we have on the multilateralism on the one side, and on the other side multipolarity. So now American scholars, they are basically focusing on the multilateralism rather than the multipolarity. Okay. Chinese scholars or the Russian think tanks or Chinese, what they basically emphasize the multipolarity. So multilateralism, according to them, it is basically a system of global cooperation, okay, that rests on international institutions or the common rules. Now the question arises whether these institutional norms or the rules that these states follow, these states obey. So I doubt on that particular part. So multipolarity, according to them, it is an oligopoly of power. What does that mean? That means the structure of multipolar world, it basically rests on several often competing pools. I have highlighted above some of them. So what they say, so though this is the, I don't understand on what grounds they basically say this multipolarity can lead to this ad hoc, as well as it is basically this opportunistic behavior. Only think about the self-interest. Okay, always it will lead to where it will basically lead to disorder. It will basically lead to conflict. So they argued, but I have some reservation with this particular thinking. Okay. Now, if I have to explain what basically this multipolar world is. So I have given a description about the multipolar world, when there are not only one major power, not only two. When there is one, that is the unipolar. When there are two, that is the bipolar. And when there are more than two, this is what we call the multipolar world. When the power is distributed, in simple terms, when the power is distributed, okay, among the major states or among the major centers. So I was basically highlighting, I was giving giving some examples of Kenneth Walters as well. So he argues when power, it becomes concentrated among several states. So then he says the system becomes multipolar. So now you can try to see where the power lies in today's world, whether it is the hands of the USA, whether it is the hands of the Russia, or whether it is the hands of in some emerging powers as well. So if it is distributed among all these actors, okay, then it simply means that we are basically living in a multipolar world. Okay, so there is this, I mean, rigorous debate persists among the scholars that I have already mentioned, that whether global order is unipolar, whether it is bipolar, whether it is multipolar. But a consensus is emerging. Okay, there is a consensus among political leaders, among diplomats, among analysts. So on this point, that the diminishing hegemony of the Western power, okay, and the American dominance, it has ended basically, and now the globe, this power, it is now dispersed across multiple centers. But this is not what I'm saying. This is what basically the consensus among the thinkers, among the politicians, among the diplomats, among the analysts, among the practitioners, and so on and so forth. This how, I mean, let me use Joseph Borrell, who was the vice president of the European Commission. What he describes this transition, I quote, over the last 3 decades, we have seen a rapid transformation in the distribution of power around the world. And we went from a bipolar configuration between 1945 and 1989 to unipolar configuration between 1989 and 2008. And before entering what we today would call a complex multipolarity. So now he added another term, this is the complex multipolarity. Difficult to understand what kind of polarity basically we are living in. And he has given a best brief description about these things. Okay, so what he indicates in this, he indicates the world economic order is comprised of 3 dominant poles now, not only one. Though his analysis is also limited, but basically it challenges to those who says that multipolarity is a myth, multipolarity is a delusion, or simply we are still living in a USA hegemony. So when he says that 3 dominant poles, on the one side the United States, on the other side the China, I was talking about these 2 poles, but now he also added another pole, that is the European Union. Okay, that is the one thing. So why he call it a complex? Okay, that is the important thing. That is the important that we people must understand. So because of some reasons, number one, he basically argues that emerging Sino-American bipolarity, this China-American bipolarity, it is, I mean, increasingly structuring the world system. That is true. Okay. And the second reason that he is giving, there are strong regional political and military powers like Russia. He gives an example of Russia and Turkey, but now we have more, okay, that do not wield economic power. Okay, regional political and military powers. So now he focuses on the regional political and military powers. And the third reason that he has given is that there are world actors between the two, like the EU, that is the European Union, that carry a strong economic weight, but who are political poles in the making, struggle to close the gap between economic power and geopolitical influence. Right? This is how his analysis. So this is the narrow or the shallow understanding, because he mentions, yeah, we are living in a complex multipolar world. He highlights 3 powers: Russia, USA, as well as the European Union. So Moscow and Beijing, they have been using the term. Please remember this thing: Moscow and Beijing. That means China and Russia. They have been using the term multipolarity. Okay. So American scholars, they are using the term, I mean, still, I mean, USA dominance. So to characterize their preferred alternative to the existing international order, which they believe is unjustly, unfairly dominated by the United States. So I will highlight something special that Stephen Walter has highlighted regarding this, but after some time. So what India thinks, okay, Indian elites, they see this world is undergoing a transformation. It is a radical transformation from more or less unipolar and Western dominated order to a multipolar one. So if you see the foreign policy makers, they also emphasize, they wish that multipolar world must exist. Okay. So that is, I mean, the major countries of the world, how they look to this international system. But let me highlight some of the, okay, if we are living in a multipolar world, if we are living in a complex multipolar world, so I would like to highlight one important thing. So that is the core of this new order. It is the emergence of a new business class. Okay, so in Marx theory, it is a fraction of capital. Okay, it is basically a fraction of capital that in turn sustains often complex geographies of political order. So it is pertinent to mention that this new order, it has created a burgeoning literature that engages with the concept of economic statecraft, weaponized interdependence, and geopolitical imaginaries. Right? So that is the one thing we should cautious about this new order. Insofar as economics as well as the security or concern or conceptualized as distinct, but they are basically related, I mean, domains as well. Okay? Related domains. So readings are available, and if you read that the post USA-led international order, it has already generated new geopolitical imaginaries. Okay, so if these new geopolitical imaginaries are there, so they are centered either on a new constellation of international order or deglobalization as a new geopolitical reality. For example, John Eckenberry, in his recent provocative article, he mentions, he suggested that re-emergence of alignments and coalition of new fractious global order. Okay. So, because what he says, I mean, what we see struggles between three groupings: the global West on the one side, global East on the other side, and now what we have, you people might have heard the global South. Now we have three blocks, and from this perspective, that yes, we are living in a multipolar world. Okay, and these three blocks, global West, global East, and the global South, they respectively led by the United States and Europe, China and Russia, and then non-Western developing countries, that is the global South. Okay, so non-Western developing countries, they are basically underpinning this global order. Each of these groupings, okay, each of these, they has varying political ideas, they have varying political this projects as well, political values, while the global West and the East, they will compete for the support and cooperation of the global South. This is how these even small states, they play a fundamental role in world order. So, but some are saying, okay, no, only major countries, they have a role in international. They have a role in this international setting, but that is not the truth. Even a small state can play a fundamental role. Let me give an example. Let's take an example of Iran and the current war. Yeah. A small state has basically it checked the Western power. Okay, others are there as well. I will come back to them later. So, but with the decline of these democratic governments, okay, or some are claiming that they are rise of authoritarians, rise of populists, what they prefer a world, okay, in Thucydides's famous phrase. Okay, I hope you have heard about the Thucydides. Okay, so his famous phrase: "The strong do what they can, and the weak suffer what they must." So this is the one thing. And another important thinker on this, if we people have to understand this multipolar world, that is the Amit Acharya. So Amit and others, they highlighted that okay, we are basically living in a world that is known as a multiplex world, multiplex multipolarity. Okay, so what does that mean? That means that non-state actors, okay, even non-state actors. So he has rightly highlighted that non-state actors, including institutions, including corporations, including extremists, including social movements, so they have the capabilities of producing order or generating disorder. So that is why he says that multiplex order. So he has basically, he and others, they emphasis on this particular part, that is the non-state actors. They can play a fundamental role either to create order or to create disorder. So different additional forces in this multiplex world, like what we see the market capitalism, okay, running on, liberal democracy, declining of liberal democracy, though radical ideas, they compete, they coexist, which make global relations become more transactional rather than zero-sum game. But there is problem with this argument as well when he says rather than zero-sum game. Okay, so but if we look at Stephen Walt and others, what they say, this Trump's administration is completely rely on this zero-sum game. So yes, Amit and others, they also agree on this point, that the decline of the Western dominance is there. Regional powers, they are becoming more influential. Okay, they play a fundamental role in this new order. And also the decentralization of the global governance, that is also rising immensely. And also mentioned that the non-state actors, first time someone pays an important this note on this this non-state actors as well. So in this perspective, so what we whether we are living in a hierarchical world or whether we are living in a pluralistic world. So if we look through the eyes of a common man, we can easily see, and it is apparent to us, that we are basically living in a more pluralistic, okay, and less hierarchical world in that point. So that is the another. So don't have time, otherwise I would love to discuss these thinkers very broadly. So another important thinker on this on this point, who supports this who advocates or who supports this multipolarity is basically Barry Buzan. So I hope you have heard his name as well. So Barry basically he has written a book on the United States and the Great Power, but the book was written in 2004, and at that time he has started claiming, okay, before the this financial crisis, 2008, and you see 2004, Barry was basically advocating this multiple, that we are living in a multipolar world rather than the US hegemony and so on and so forth. Okay, so according to Barry, what he says, that the global wealth, okay, if we have this notion, this global wealth is controlled by the Western states, so it is not right, it is basically decline. So since 2000 and in 2004, he has claimed that it is decline, and what we see in 2025, it is true. Okay, and another important is see the international institutions. Okay, you take an example of BRICS, or you take an example of G20 and so on and so forth. So these emerging powers, they have become more and more influential in these institutions. Okay. Another one, so you just pick up the regions in the world, and you will see in every region there are the powers. Okay, so every region is dominated by one power or two powers or three powers, whatever, and you see. So that means the regional powers. I think all these thinkers, they emphasize, they focus on this regionalism or the regional powers as well, because because it is important. One region can dictate the policies to other region, even two as well. So Busan, he says, okay, I mean, if we take Busan's these arguments or assumptions very carefully or very seriously, so then according to him, yes, okay, the multipolar world or all the multiple major powers, what they possess the power to influence, capacity to influence, or the ability to influence others, both regional as well as the global level. So those, I mean, see, if we see what basically constitutes a major power. Okay, so at one point of time, if we look back to the literature, I mean, sorry, the literature, I mean, that was written long before. Yeshkar, let me give an example of Yeshkar has written 20 Years Crisis. So in that book, he says that three metrics needed to become a major power. So one metric is the military strength. The second one is the economic heft. And the third, he was saying the psychological. He says that if you have these three metrics and these three things, so you are basically a major power. So now see, in today's world, but I think okay, there are other things as well. As Busan has even Busan says like this, it is not merely about the military strength. Okay, so what about the diplomatic influence? Yeah, what about the technological capabilities? And you see the technological warfare in today's world as well. What do you see the institutional leadership as well? Very recently, people might have seen, okay, one leader has, I mean, when this war broke out in Middle East, and one leader has started this trend, okay, to started putting a question mark on the Western imperialism or Western dominance, and then others started following it without having the military strength, without having the economics. I mean, things. What I am basically trying to say, that there are other things as well that can help a state to become a major power, even too, in today's world. So the others as well, like Farid Zakaria, what he says, okay, Farid Zakaria has says that, okay, what we see the rise of the East, we see the rise of the rest as well. Okay, but what he says in this, that when he has written his work, he has written work in 2008, and in that work, he didn't say that the American dominance is declining or collapsing, but what we see in 2026, that it is certain that the dominance is, if we look the matrix of the different matrix, and what we see, yes, I mean, basically this I mean, it is going down, it is declining. Okay, and those who are supporting at one point of time, now they are basically accepting this, they are agreeing on it, yes, it is declining. So what is interesting in Zakaria's book, the book that has the post-American world, okay, which he has written in 2000. So in that he has said that America is not collapsing, but what we see in after Trump came into power, we see it is exactly it is. Okay, so be it economic or be it political influence, be it the economic, and I have already mentioned the states, and there are other institutions as well. So they also they play a substantial role in this new war. So before I will end, I would like to have take some questions regarding this. So let me mention Stephen Walt. Yes, very recently, I think in February, he has written a piece in Foreign Affairs, and I think we all should read that piece, and it is interesting. Yes, he has basically described it in a different way. Yeah? So he argues that over the past 80 years, according to him, okay, so he says this broad structure of world power has undergone a radical shift. Again, he says like the bipolar, then unipolar, and today we are living in a multipolar world. So, but what is important, that is the following. He says that during Cold War, okay, during Cold War, so USA was a benevolent hegemon. Okay, benevolent hegemon. What does that mean? That means, towards his allies or towards USA was very, very benevolent. Why? Because to contain the expansion of the South Union. That is true. And then he says this, argues that Trump's administration, okay, USA has become a predator hegemon. That is the interesting point. Now, see, Stephen Walt says that USA has become a predator hegemon. What does that mean? That means that it creates structures in such a way that each transaction with others in a purely zero-sum fashion. That is what the opportunistic thinking, opportunistic politics that I was mentioning earlier. So this, when I say in a zero-sum fashion, so it is simply to get all the benefits. Okay? So then he says that the primary goal of this predator hegemon, it is not to build a stable and mutual beneficial relation. It is not like that. But to leave all parties better off, no, it is not like that. But to ensure that it gains more from every interaction than others do. Okay, so this is the one. And the second thing, if we look at the cooperation among democracies, it is also faltered. Okay, it is also faltered. If we take an example of VDEM, okay, varieties of democracy, that is known as. So we see this democratic recession, okay, democratic backsliding is going on. So in that, very recently they came up with a report and they say the 45 countries shifted away from democracy and towards the autocracy in 2025. Not a joke. From 40 countries shifted away from democracy and towards autocracy. So what we see, okay, the rise of, some says illiberal internationalism, some says, okay, rise of populism, some say rise of totalitarianism, rise of authoritarian states. So, and then this report also highlights that only 29 countries, they can now be considered full democracies. So when we look at it, so on the one side we see the decline of the democracies in the world. On the other side, we see the rise of the other systems as well. So at one point of time, those who are hailing the age of democracy, and now they proclaim the age of autocracy. So let me stop it over here. But before I will stop it, if I have to answer in a one single line to this theme, so yeah, we are living in a multipolar world, and it is a multipolar fragmented world basically. And you see, take the Russia-Ukraine war and you see the countries stand, and take the Iran war and you see the countries stand, and basically we are living in this dangerous world, okay, where you don't know what will happen tomorrow because of the unpredictability of the politics, unpredictability of the leaders, and so on. That is why it is a fragment. It is not a united world. Okay, even if you take an example of the regional, like some are saying that that regionalism plays or regional powers plays a fundamental role, and you see the cracks in all regions even too as well. Thank you. Let me stop over here, and I would love to take some questions as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Zahoor. And now I will request to admission nominee Ms. Kiranjit Kaur to be on the screen. Over to you, Ms. Kiran.
Yes, thank you so much, Dalvinder ma'am, and thank you so much, sir, for explaining so well. Now I would like to tell you some details about our university. So first of all, ma'am, hope my screen is visible.
Yeah, screen is visible. You can continue.
So here our website is there, lpu.in. You can check this. If I talk about this specific, if you want to search about any program, you can go after 12th program as well and after graduation also. So after graduation, if I go for regular program, in that you can see here different type of disciplines are available: engineering, management, pharmaceutical, economics. So here, if I talk about, if you want to search for political science, you can go here. Here the program is available, MA Political Science. It's a master level program. You can fill this for if you want to get the detail. or if you want to have the call from our side. The eligibility for this program is very simple. That is passed with 50% aggregate in bachelor degree. You can have your bachelor degree from any discipline. And we also give scholarship on the basis of CUT. Now talking about the fee structure. In our university, the fees is very, very nominal. 50,000 per semester will be the fees, and further we have 60, 50, 40 and 30. You can see 60, 50, 30, 30 and 40. These are the scholarship slabs currently we are giving, and the examination fee in our university will be 5,000 and uniform fee will be 4,000. Now, another most important part is important dates. So you can see that 20 is the last date of admission in our university, and if you want to give LPNS examination, that is in this specific LPNS is for the purpose of scholarship. So you can give that and result will be out within 24 hours for that specific program. So I would like to tell you about like where our university offices are available. So you can go LP in your city. Here you can see that we have some permanent offices as well. So in Delhi, Assam, Himachal, Haryana, let's say if you join us from the Haryana, you can see the details like Mr. Pawan and Ms. Payal is available. Their Hisar counseling office is available with phone number, counseling timing, office timing, or you can say, or the their address where you can meet them. You can see the glimpse of office as well. So even you can contact for face-to-face counseling also, or you can have a telephonic counseling also with us. And in case other, we have some karma offices available, like if you are from Assam, and here our office cities are available, like in Guwahati if you belong. Whatever the city you belong, you can select the location accordingly. You can call them and book your appointment before going there. So this is the detail. Apart from that, if you want to just go anything about our university, like residential loan, study grant, scholarship, why you can go for LPNS, LPU, Lovely Professional University, you can see the details found here. So 20 is the last date, which is very important. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Ms. Kiranjeet Kaur. As I can see, there's some questions from our participants. Can we take the questions, Dr. Zahoor and Ms. Kiran? So thanks for giving me chance to address your questions. So Gaurav is with us. Gaurav is asking, what are the key characteristics of a multipolar world, and how does it differ from a unipolar or bipolar world order? Dr. Zahoor.
Yeah, hello.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
You're right.
Okay.
Please come.
Yeah, thank you, Garo, for putting this important question. Okay, so what are the different key characteristics of the multipolar world? One, the power that I was basically highlighting, that this power, it is basically distributed among multiple or in a diverse setup. Now it is not in the hands of the one. If we take an example of the unipolar world, so in unipolar world, the power basically lies at the hands of one, that we have seen the American hegemony. So you might have also heard about this. And when we talk about the bipolar world, so the power basically rests in the hands of the two. It is in the equilibrium basically. But when it comes to the multipolar, the best characteristic is that defines the multipolarity. That is, the power is basically distributed among different power, different countries, or different or in diverse setup as well. So this is the one. And the second one, if we see the leadership, leadership is the another characteristics as well. So like what we have seen, I mean in unipolar world, in unipolar world, so leader, basically the leader of the particular country always dominates the institutions, they always dominate. But what we see in the multipolar world, you see, okay, now it is not dominated by one, but it is also dominated by the other leaders as well. I was basically giving an example of this. What about this institutional setups? Okay, what about the political, or what about the leadership role as well? So these are the important characteristics if we people have to if we people have to identify whether we are living in a multipolar world or whether we are living in a bipolar world. So there are others as well. Okay, this world I was already mentioning. Okay, it is fragmented. You see the regional wise as well. It is also it is fragmented. And then what you see okay, the rise of the other powers and the decline of the old powers. That is obvious. That Richard Haas has mentioned this, that each empire, each power has its expiry date. So yes, that what we witness in today's world as well.
Thank you so much, Dr. Zahoor. Ms. Kiran, someone is asking, do LPU provide the residential facilities also?
Yes, we have very good residential facilities with us. Ma'am, if you allow, I'll share the screen and I'll give you some idea.
Yeah, please share
Okay.
your
So in our university, we have very good residential facilities with us. I just give you some idea that we have 1-seater, 2-seater, 3-seater rooms available with AC and non-AC as well. Like in non-AC, you will get the air cooler, and in terms of AC, you will get AC room with attached washroom available with that. So you can, I'll just show you. Here it is, like residential facilities. Like we have apartment styling house, in-house laundry facilities also available with a very minimum charges, and mess facilities also. Whenever you get free or in between you get lunch time, you can go and you can have your meal accordingly. We have gym facility also. Apart from that, we have swimming pool facility also with a very minimum charges. Like in case you want to work on your that skill, you can work on that. Like this is a glimpse, you can say. Like this is our in between campus swimming pool. We have a volleyball ground also. We have a badminton area also. So different kind of facilities are available in the campus. As per your comfortable level, you can go for apartment, standard room, AC, non-AC room, and mess facilities are also available. And apart from that, I just want to add that we have uni hospital also within a campus for the student in case they feel any requirement. 24 hours into 7, that is available. Even from the website also here, you can go on admission, and admission in residential facilities is here. So you can just check and you can have a view also, like whatever the library facility and hostels, whatever the like 1-seater, 2-seater, these are the charges available. So you can see according to like a sample of 3D images also available about the hostels. So you can check from here.
Thanks so much, Ms. Kiranjit Kaur. So I hope Dilpreet Kaur, you got your answer from our expert. So don't worry, students, attendees. If anyone have any question regarding the admission, they just write on us at admission@lpu.co.in, and you can do WhatsApp chat with us. Our WhatsApp number is 98525 Repeating the number, it's 98525 And once again, thanks to our experts, Dr. Zahoor and Ms. Kiranjit Kaur. As we come to the end of this webinar, I want to express my deepest gratitude to our expert for sharing their valuable insights and expertise with us. Your presence, enthusiasm, and active participation have made this experience truly special. If anyone wants to access this webinar again, then they just visit our website, that is lpu.in, under admission, LPU Edu-Webinar. You will find the past and the upcoming webinars. Stay connected with us for future webinars. Until we meet again, permission of my series, I will be signing off this webinar. Take care and goodbye. Have a beautiful day.
Thank you, ma'am.